Moved by Mark.
Support.
Support from Andrew. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. First up, we have recognition of visitors and hearing of people present. Ron. Just a little challenge tonight with all the technology.
Andrew Robinson.
So to be honest, I just wanted to speak at the last work session. I filled out the wrong form. And so I have absolutely nothing that I had planned to say, except I hope that everyone has a fantastic Christmas and holiday season and spends a lot of time with family and friends and is recharged for 2024 ahead. And I'll also just say how thankful I am for our teachers. My family has been 5 for 5 on fantastic teachers in this district. My 7-year-old has been struggling with reading and her confidence just really, really low to start the year. And her teacher, Mrs. Cooley, has just been such an encouragement to her, and her confidence is so high. It's such a joy to come home and see your child reading a book on the couch. And reading a book in bed. So we have a very great district here and a lot to be thankful for. Have a great holiday season.
Rebecca Skipper.
For the last year and a half, I have been attending or watching board meetings and have had the privilege of presenting to the board on a book review committee. One thing has come across crystal clear. This board has not actively supported the staff that it serves. You have given significant airtime with no redress to those who speak ill of your teachers and administrators. After reading the email sent to you on November 1st by a previous board commenter, one complete with 20 examples of teacher activism in the classroom, I wonder if you are aware of the inaccuracies of her messaging. Many of those are from 4 or more years ago, pulled from private social media profiles, and several were pictures from things not even from Hudsonville schools. Allowing the uninformed to continue their rants and allowing the vitriol to continue during public comment sends a clear message to your teachers. You don't support them. Failing to address these hate-filled commenters shows you believe the fallacies they relay. It is time for you to unequivocally state through word and deed that you support our parapros, teachers, bus drivers, custodians, administrators, and superintendent. When asking for committee work of educational professionals, take their advice. Don't allow staff to be heckled in public. When you vote or agree on something in a closed session, stand by your private actions in public. When people get up and spread lies about your staff and you have not seen it to be true, speak the truth. When something seems off to you, go to the school and talk with the principal, the superintendent, trust what they say, and step back and let them do their jobs. Don't present one opinion in a group of 3 or 4 and then present something else in public. Adhere to the code of conduct. Take the staff survey that has 272 comments about you seriously. Thinking that your staff's feedback about your actions doesn't apply to you is ignorant and sends the message yet again to the staff that you don't support them. You have an opportunity tonight to send the message to all staff that you value them. It might seem strange for me to be talking about Dr. Vanderjack's evaluation, but the reality is the way you conduct his evaluation says a great deal about the way you would treat any staff member. So when discussing his evaluation, share his high score you all agreed on in closed session a couple weeks ago and vote unanimously to approve it. On November 27, when Jay Bennett of MASB led you through the off-cycle evaluation, he asked you to chime in if you had any problems with any of the scores given during closed session, and not one of you interjected. You had no problem with the 97% score then, you shouldn't have a problem tonight. Your words and deeds need to be consistent, whether in closed session or in public. This will send a message to your staff that you are committed to being fair, honest, and transparent, something you all vowed to be January 19. Your comments about healing and coming together are only as good as how you handle things tonight. Then tomorrow, write a note of thanks to a bus driver, parapro, teacher, custodian, food service employee, or administrator. When a random community member approaches you with an endless regurgitation of hate, have faith in your staff. Should you seize these opportunities, you will be moving in the direction of healing and send a message to all staff that you support them. Thank you.
Jenna Braun.
Hi there. I'd like to use my time today to discuss conflict resolution strategies with the board. It is quite obvious to all of those that attend these meetings that there is quite a communication breakdown and feelings of tension between our board members as well as between our board members and our district administration. Also, yesterday was Taylor Swift's birthday, and I can't pass up the opportunity to talk about what it means to be an anti-hero. Everyone on this board fills a supervisory position within our district, so let me explain how being an anti-hero pertains to us. First of all, an anti-hero is someone that engages in conflict against or with their own will. Rather than serving the greater good, an anti-hero is someone that will put themselves first. The following list are tendencies that an anti-heroic supervisor might naturally have when they face a conflict. Please listen to the list, take a moment to reflect on if you have been in this situation with an anti-heroic supervisor. Advice giving. When supervisors provide advice or perceived expertise, it is helpful to have empathy. However, when used improperly, it also undermines and overlooks a person's need for emotional support. Explaining, correcting, or justifying. When an incident is brought to a supervisor's attention, jumping directly into a response feels patronizing and insincere. Asking immediate questions can lead to defensiveness, missing the root of the issue and escalating a conflict. One-upping. When a supervisor tells another colleague, in my day, we did so-and-so, or, well, when I worked here, that undermines the staff member's experience. It also feels overpowering, unrelated to the issue, and limits trust. Shaming, judging, or criticizing. If a supervisor is addressing a conflict with a colleague and interrupts the colleague saying, there is no excuse, this is unacceptable. This causes long-term damage to the relationship and is a personal attack. This also undermines trust and creates defensiveness. Have any of you experienced these tendencies in your workplace? What about while serving on the Board of Education? While you think about that, I want to finish with this. When board members act as anti-heroes and take conflicts personally, we as a district suffer. Consciously or unconsciously, individuals on this board are responsible for their reactions and how they work in a collaborative effort. Our district administrators are doing the best that they can, and it's important to approach every situation with them with compassion and empathy. Please take time to think about your actions and words and if they are bettering this collaboration or working for your own benefit.
Jill Bosnack.
Good evening. I spent my time in November thanking the different groups of people who help keep Hudsonville School District functioning. Everyone has a very important role, and I thank everyone for doing their part. This month, as the holidays are upon us, I'm going to be greedy and ask the board to grant me some wishes. My main wish is that the board becomes a truly cohesive board. Looking at today's agenda, there's two things that are extremely important to me that will be discussed: the SOAR 5 goals and the superintendent evaluation. The SOAR 5 goals strategic planning is extremely imperative to the district as it sets the priorities for the next 2 years. This was presented to the board this summer, and it's a little disappointing that the board members are still going back and forth after the reading. I hope we understand your role as a board is to unify the district around these important initiatives. It's not to take time in these meetings to wordsmith or go back and forth on the tiny details. Let's focus on the big picture and what the district is trying to accomplish. It's almost as if the attendees of the meetings, people like me, are the kids. And the board, you guys, are the parents. And you're up front arguing over tiny things. We're criticizing each other during these meetings. We don't like to see our parents bickering in front of us, and my wish is that this stops. The SOAR 5 survey stated that teachers do not feel respected by some of the board members. The board has become too political and is not putting all students and educators first. Only 26% of the staff and 24% of the teachers responded in being completely or very satisfied. Looking at the bright side, that's 74 or 76% room for improvement. One of the frequently mentioned suggestions for improvement included, quote, renewed trust between the board and the staff, with a board that supports all students and doesn't have personal political agendas. My wish is that this board follows this suggestion. The second agenda item that is important to me is Dr. Vanderjack's evaluation. Thank you for your leadership. The students in this district are happy, the teachers are happy, and we want the board, just like our parents, to be happy and get along. In fact, 75% of the total staff and the teachers completely are very happy with your leadership, Dr. Vanderjack. Please continue to push this Hudsonville district into the future, and I express my appreciation for you, just as the many staff did in the SOAR 5 survey. I support you, and my wish is that this board also supports Dr. Vanderjack. My Christmas wish, not only for myself, but for the entire district, is that the board goes into 2024 as a new year with a new mindset. You have a very important role to accelerate the growth and healing of this district. Let's be honest, we all know it's been a rough couple of years. Collaborate together, support each other, and become a truly unified board. This will trickle down to all aspects within the district and make us the even greater Hudsonville Public Schools I know we can be. I wish you unity, collaboration, non-political agendas, and to put the students and their education first. Happy holidays.
Jennifer Johnson.
Good evening. Dr. Vanderjack, thank you. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to our students, teachers, staff, and community. You have faced so much in the last 3 years as our superintendent, and our district is incredibly lucky to have you. Many of the people in this room have heard me supporting Dr. Vanderjack over the past few years, and this is due to my family's experience within this district. Having a child graduate in 2020, and this district being one of 2 schools in the state to have an actual in-person graduation, it may have looked a lot different than what usual and may have taken place the first week in August. But those students will never forget how hard this district worked to provide them with an opportunity to get their diplomas in person and together as a class. Dealing with COVID, masks, keeping students in school while other districts went through frequent and lengthy closures, navigating through parents' mistrust from not being able to be in schools with their children, a unique school board election, and the erosion of staff and community support for the board are only a few examples of the difficulties you have faced. Managing these challenges while still moving this district forward through unprecedented growth and ensuring construction projects, all while doing an exceptional job with the everyday responsibilities this job entails, is why I wholeheartedly support you and congratulate you on your success. After all, your success benefits this district, its students, staff, and community as a whole. So thank you, Dr. Vanderjack, you are appreciated. This meeting is the last of the year, and January brings a new opportunity for this board. I ask you to put your focus back on the important job of supporting this district in a positive manner and putting an end to the negativity surrounding certain members and begin rebuilding the trust in our teachers, staff, and community that they have lost in this board. I believe that starts with removing Barb Hooper and Greg Chansky as members of the executive team. Greg has now been a board member for a year and is as clueless about his position as the day he started. His lack of understanding and his unwillingness to learn have proven him unworthy and flat out ignorant of the position as treasurer. Barb's tenure as president has been disastrous at best. Her disgusting public comments regarding who she believes shouldn't be parents, lack of procedural understanding, underhanded meetings with Mark and Greg while excluding other board members and out of public view, and most importantly, the erosion of trust between teachers, staff, and community members, which was clearly demonstrated in the source survey reports and her comments. It's time to right this ship, and it starts with appointing members who understand the positions and who are focused on moving their district forward in a positive and trustworthy manner. Thank you.
Emily Brechty.
Good evening, board. I'm here tonight to speak in support of our superintendent. It's only been 1 year since Dr. Vanderjack's previous evaluation, and I remember clearly sitting in the audience as his evaluation was summarized. A total score of 3.9 out of 4 across myriad domains of leadership. I breathed a sigh of relief that his incredible work and dedication to the district was reflected in his evaluation, and yet that relief was briefly overshadowed by some post hoc commentary, which sounded mostly like grandstanding to me. And yet here we are again. Annual performance reviews are not the protocol for a seasoned superintendent in this district. Why then has the board broken from the established evaluatory framework and devoted this time and effort to a premature evaluation? Given his excellent evaluation just 12 months ago, I am left to wonder. It strikes me that this board may misunderstand the sentiments of this district as a whole because of the loud, vitriolic, and often inaccurate statements of a minority. So tonight, let me clearly and calmly counter that narrative. He's doing an amazing job. What a tiring, thankless, and demanding endeavor. No, he's not perfect, and neither are you or I. As a district, we've navigated tremendous growth, the far-reaching impact of a global pandemic, and numerous other challenges with him at the helm. Please recognize the important work he's done and let him do his job. He's poured himself into this district, and we are fortunate to have him. The recent SOAR 5 staff survey corroborates this. 75% of staff and teachers, with an N of over 600 respondents, reported that they are very satisfied or completely satisfied with his leadership. In contrast, only 6% of staff and teachers indicated that they were slightly or not at all satisfied. To put these numbers in perspective, only 26% of the same HPS staff felt very or completely satisfied with the leadership of this very board, compared to his 75, while 37% were slightly or not at all satisfied in your leadership. At the last board meeting, Mr. Chansky indicated that he had problems with his trust level. Well, Mr. Chansky, I agree that there is an issue of trust, but I'd like to respectfully suggest that you have the directionality wrong. I'd like to use my remaining time to briefly comment on SOAR. I'm proud to be part of a district that engages in thoughtful, long-term, and strategic planning. I'd like to encourage the board to focus on efforts on ensuring that all students benefit from the district's resources, but particularly those students who are marginalized or who have been overlooked in the past. I ask you to support these goals and provide these resources, to set aside your personal agendas and work for the health and development of this district. Enable HBS to nurture every student from every family, whether or not they look like you and yours.
Randy Beist.
Thank you. It's always an honor to be up here, and always a little bit nervous, nerve-wracking maybe. But first of all, I was just over there. I think all of you were. Congratulations. Wow. Dr. Vanderjack, Mr. Briggs, wow. You should have been up there cutting that too, because I have no doubt that you put as much into that as anybody. I'm in awe. 20 years ago, we decided to move we were expected not to send our kids to this school district because we were part of that other local school district growing up. And my wife and I chose Hudsonville. No regrets, none, not to belittle anybody else or that their school district, their other school system, they do good work too. But wow, that was incredible tonight. I know it's closed, imagine that. Briefly, I know you have a lot on the agenda. Dr. Vanderjack, also congratulations on your recent review. You have worked above and beyond virtually every expectation that the board set. I attended almost every single one of those meetings when they interviewed people, countless hours, like, I don't know, 100 hours of sitting, listening, and frankly, those of you who were there, a lot of boredom, and a lot of listening to a lot of candidates that you just knew weren't capable of running this district. And when it came down to it, there were only a couple at best, I think 2 who were capable. And you're one of them. And Hudsonville is honored to have you. I don't think there's too many in this entire state that could run this district like you do. I don't always agree, and I know we have a long ways to go, but you know the weaknesses, and you will continue to strive forward. Board, as you consider the goals of SOAR tonight, and looking at all of our data that was collected, I hope that you, the board, find ways to mend the broken fences between you and our professional educators, and between you and our remarkable staff. You saw the numbers. I don't need to berate you. We have much to celebrate, so not tonight. Likewise, I look forward to each of you as individuals supporting Dr. Vanderjack in your votes tonight. You need to show a unified front to our teachers, to our staff and community. You've heard it from our union people, from everybody who's been up here. Please, please, please show a unified front. It's absolutely imperative. And what better way to finish this night by doing so with a shadow of that in your decisions. Thank you very much.
Mindy Van Hugel.
Good evening. Transparency is defined as the quality of being easily seen through in regards to a governance context that refers to being open and honest. Admin and staff here at Hudsonville tout their dedication to transparency but have zero actions to back that up. Most recent is the superintendent evaluation being held in closed session. Sure, nobody wants their dirty laundry aired in public and on videotape, but what is there to hide? Doug was given a rate of 97% effectiveness. 97%. Wow. I would love to know specifically what these board members use as the basis for those scores. I find myself asking again, if you are proud of what you teach and how you lead, why do you constantly keep it under wraps? When you signed up for this position, be it as administration in a public setting or as a board member, you knew going in that you would be scrutinized by those whom you serve. I find it interesting how loosely the word transparency is used around here. Another example is the free choice classroom books available to students. I have asked repeatedly for a list of authors and titles that students are able to utilize. I continue to be told how much we, as in Hudsonville Public Schools, value transparency until it comes time to actually be open and honest. I was asked, why do I need to know all the books available if my child is only reading 1 or 2? My response is, why can't I know? I pay my taxes and that money is used in part to purchase these books. In essence, I own a page in each of them, and so does every other member of this community. If there's nothing to hide, nothing to be ashamed of, and each teacher is proud of what they offer, then show me. Each teacher is required to have a summary and parent signature page for each book, so there isn't extra work involved for the teacher, but I'm still turned away. Those darn high standards again. Sheesh. Amy Taylor, head of curriculum, told me that as a parent, I'm entitled to all materials in every child's classroom. There must have been some miscommunication between staff and admin then, because my request fell on silent ears despite my child being enrolled in an ELA course. I'm sure someone will get back to me sometime. Hudsonville used to stand for conservative values. That put an emphasis on working together, valuing students and staff, and encouraging kindness and respect with teachers and admin leading by example. Now we have teachers belittling each other, students cussing directly at teachers and other students, and staff more concerned about being a friend to students rather than disciplining them. What an upside down mess HPS has become in such a short time. There are plenty of still good things around, but I'm only given 3 minutes to share my insights and perspective with you. We are called to train up our children in the ways in which they will go. Therefore, it does not surprise me that students act in such poor ways towards each other because they are surrounded by a worldly culture that no longer values what it used to, and the walls here at HPS no longer protect them. I am disappointed in the current board's review of Dr. Vanderjack. I'm saddened to see what used to be a quality school settle for less education and put more of an emphasis on social and emotional behaviors instead. We are not preparing our students for life outside of these walls. We are shortchanging them and sending them off into the future ill-prepared for what they will encounter. Unless we make an effort for real change, they will continue on the same sad path. I don't enjoy standing up here, and I don't like spending my time preparing these statements and focusing on the bad things, but we can't continue to turn a blind eye and hope that things will improve.
Moving on to our action items, first up we have our consent agenda. We have that the following resolution is proposed, that the board approve the consent agenda action items as presented.
So moved.
Is it from Dawn?
Support.
Support from Andrew. Are there any questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next up, we have our regular action agenda, and first up, we have our early childhood center renovation bid recommendations with Mr. Patrick.
Thank you, President Hooper. The recommendation before the board for the early childhood center bids renovation was reviewed at the work session, and just talk about a few things. We did have a good amount of bidders. The total amount of bids is well within the budget for funds available, and our recommendation is that the board support these bidders and we get the project going.
Are there, so we have the following resolution is proposed, that the board approve the Owen Ames Kimball Company be authorized to issue notices of pending award in the amounts indicated to the contractors and suppliers listed on the attachment, pending confirmation that all requirements of the contract documents have been met. Furthermore, that upon receipt by Owen Ames Kimball Company of the appropriate documentation, contracts be awarded to these contractors and suppliers by Hudsonville Public Schools. The total value of contracts for requested motion is $1,005,501 as presented by Mr. Patrick Grace, the Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance. Motion on the table.
So moved.
Movement by Ken.
Support.
Support from Nick. Are there any questions for Mr. Briggs?
Remind us, Pat, of the big picture. You talked us through it at the work session, the big picture in terms of what's changing and,
Sure. Like the scope of the project, what the work we're doing? Yes. We are, as one of the pieces for this, the field house, or the wrestling program that's been at the Early Childhood Center, junior high, freshman campus for years. That's moving out, over here to the main campus in the field house. We're gonna renovate that space, divide it into a cafeteria and a movement room for very young children. The current cafeteria is gonna be renovated and made into 2 classrooms. There's some central areas of the building where we have some storage staff offices that's gonna be retouched and refreshed. And then, as one of the alternates, there's gonna be a restroom inserted on the side that faces the pickleball courts that were mentioned tonight. And then there's some door work, various other touch-ups in the building, but it's, for that $1 million, we're getting quite a bit of horsepower for that. So, yeah, those are the highlights.
Thank you.
Remind us again, timeline when it's going to start.
We're really gonna start demo here in, maybe the end of January, February, but then we'll really get in and start doing the renovation work in March. That'll run through, late fall, wrap up in November.
Some of the facilities will be open by the end of summer, cafeteria and things like that, but it might take a little bit longer.
Other questions for Mr. Briggs? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next up, we have our
Thank you.
non-homestead resolution.
Maybe I'll ask Mr. Briggs to stay at the podium in case there are additional questions, but we do ask for, the board, we had a conversation regarding the non-homestead millage of a 4-year non-homestead with a 2-year Headley override. On that, if you look at the resolution, it is 2 proposals. One is the 18 mills, which is considered a renewal. The other is a 2 mill that is 0 tax dollars, cost to the person, just how it's worded. That is on their intention, that's the Headley override. If approved by the board, the next phase gets into having conversations with our community to educate about the difference between the two. We cannot levy more than 18 mills, period. This is a non-homestead to save us roughly $46,000 per election cycle, and having this technically, if we do it in 4 years, we'll be on the cycle with a sinking fund, and then the board at that time can make a decision what we want to go in that direction. But the recommendation is tonight to approve the resolution for the ballot on May 7th of 2024 for 18 mills with a 2-year Headley override, non-homestead.
Okay, so we have that the following resolution is proposed, that the board approve the resolution calling a special election on May 7th of 2024 for a 4-year operating millage renewal as presented by Dr. Vanderjack, our superintendent. So here, support from Mark.
And I'm sorry, did you say it was just for the initial 18 mil ones that were, or both of them that we're have the motion for?
The motion is for both.
Okay.
Thank you, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Both, for both.
Yes, support.
Support from Don. Okay, now are there any questions for Dr. Vanderjack or Mr. Briggs?
Thank you for bringing this forward. It's overdue in the district. We've always had strong support, some ups and downs, but strong support from our community for our district financially, which we appreciate so much as a board. And saving taxpayers' money, when we ever save $45,000 a year, is just a wise and prudent use of trust that the taxpayers put into us. So thank you for bringing this forward and giving us this option. For sure.
Any other questions?
Thanks for your work on this, Mr. Briggs.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next up, we have some human resource and items with Ms. Ann Armstrong.
Good evening. This is not typical that I would have 4 staff members to bring to you for recommendation for hire, but it's kind of the world that we're going to be living in, I think, for a while. We had one unopened position at the beginning of the year that we have had someone in place, and so now we're going to be officially hiring. And then we had two staff members that resigned mid-year, and then there was a need due to another health issue. So I just wanted to explain, none of these are additional FTE, they're all replacement FTE. So the first position, and I want to be very clear, we have found awesome people, as always, even though it's mid-year, okay. So the first is Celeste Lara. She is a 5-year veteran teacher. and she has been teaching in Costa Rica. She graduated from Grand Valley State University, and right upon graduation, she moved to Costa Rica, taught there, came back, and is really excited to be able to put, as she said, her certification to work. Don't see her, so I just want to make sure. So she is doing work at Jamestown Lower with a resource position. So we're very excited to recommend her for hire there. As well as Katie Hudsonville. Katie is kind of the MDE is kind of doing this Welcome Back to Your Educator initiative, and she was a person that had her education degree and her certification, but decided to raise her children. And she has children that are now of school level in Jenison, and really decided, you know what, I'm gonna get recertified, did that, and we're lucky enough to have her in a recommendation for an EI categorical position at Jamestown Lower as well. Then Kylie Ost. Kylie is a Hudsonville grad. She had the last name of Van Tuberingen when she was here. And are you here, Kylie? Yes, you are, stand up, come on, let's go. Kylie just graduated from Calvin College, or is it university? It's university, right? And she is being recommended to hire in a resource position as well at the 5-6 building. So very excited. I saw your eyes light up, maybe a summer science kid? Yeah, okay, I love it. And then finally, Hannah Wettlaufer. Hannah is a Western Michigan grad, just recently, I think like this weekend. And she is being recommended to hire for a position at Baldwin Middle School in Spanish. We did have this position as a 25% high school, 75% Baldwin, but we do the start of the trimester and everything, we kind of shuffled the schedule a little bit, so it is 100% at Baldwin for this year. But Hannah is just a very poised, amazing young woman, and she did a semester abroad in Spain. She's energetic and charismatic, and I think that she's going to bring, some great stability to that class there at Baldwin. So 4 great teachers with lots of different backgrounds to be a part of our new staff for recommendation.
Okay, so we have the following resolution is proposed, that the board approve the following certified hires as presented by Anna Armstrong, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. We have Celeste Lira, Katie Hughesman, Kylie Ost, and Hannah Wettlaufer.
I'll move that.
Supported by Andrew, support by Dawn. Are there any questions for Ann Armstrong?
We are offering Spanish 7 and 8.
It's at 8.
It's at 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should we offer it 7?
That's an Amy question. I do.
You like that, we can talk about that as we talk to the circle.
Hey, Mr. Creek, you've done a great job there. You're more than happy to teach more Spanish, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm very thrilled for this.
All right, any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. All right, motion passes. Next up, we have our 2024 and 2025 calendar recommendation.
All right, well, I'd like to thank the HEA for their work on this as well with myself and Dr. Vanderjack, and I know we've had conversations as well, board, so thank you for your work on this. We are recommending a calendar for the 24-25 year that is going to give students and staff and the community a great year. And it also aligns with the ISD's common calendar, so everything's good. 180 student days, just like we've talked about. We are, the only, I think, district in the county that's still offering 180 student days, and it's 183 staff days.
The only adjustment to this calendar, which the board has discussed already, is the school starting on the Wednesday as opposed to the Monday. In the past, there were 2 half days followed by a long weekend. Then we get into the 4 days, and then Labor Day weekend, and another 4 days because of Labor Day weekend, and eventually we get the plane at 30,000 feet.
Yeah, I also think I might have showed the board one that I know Becky Skipper and I caught that spring break is actually a week later, and that's because of the common calendar of the ISD. So I think I might have shown you one where spring break was a week before, and I know Becky and I quick caught that. So it is aligned with the ISD's common calendar.
So we have the following resolution is proposed that the board approve the attached calendar for the 2024-25 school year as presented by Ms. Ann Armstrong, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
I'll move that.
Moved by Nick.
Support.
Support from Mark. Are there any questions for Ann?
So with that one exception, this is the same that we looked at together, correct? Sort of like.
I just want to thank you and the HEA. This is one of those that I think we get a lot of community feedback on.
Yeah.
Especially from the fair, and there's no perfect solution, but I feel like this does a really nice job of trying to meet in the middle on it. So just thank you to everybody involved.
No, thank you.
Hopefully we can get the word out and people will be thankful about.
I would send it out
Starting on
tomorrow.
Wednesday. So we have flights again, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next up, we have our first reading of some policy additions and revisions. Dr. Vanderjagt.
Thank you. We have about 6 policies that we did share with the board a couple weeks ago online, and then waiting for some feedback. I know Mr. DeWitt had some feedback. I appreciate the feedback. We incorporated those that could be in there. This is the recommendation as you was shared with you. No changes to the admin reduction and recall. That's a new policy. The online and blended learning adjustment. The weapons policy was simply just a language cleanup as well as info security. And then the technology acceptable use form and the free and reduced lunch. All of those were kind of minor changes. It was I'll say a light cycle when it came to the first reading of our policies. So our recommendation tonight is for a first reading of these policies. We'll bring these back in January for a second reading, as well as adoption if approved by the board.
So we have the following resolution as proposed, that the board approve the first reading of the following addition revisions to board policies as presented by Dr. Vanderjagt. We have the administrative staff reduction/recalls, the online blended learning program, weapons, student technology acceptable use and safety, information security, and free and reduced price meals.
So moved.
Movement by Andrew,
Support.
support from Nick. Are there any questions for Dr. Vanderjagt?
Online blended learning, is that primarily changes that we're driving or compliance to state law or both?
Compliance with the state law.
Thank you.
Other questions for Dr. Vanderjagt?
So is this the only ones that we're gonna be getting through Neola, for this?
No.
Okay.
So there are normally fall updates and spring updates. These are the fall updates. There is a whole series of other policy updates. I believe I shared with the board. I want to thank, since they're here, Mrs. Armstrong as well as Mrs. Skipper, Mr. Vanderbilt. They're having other detailed conversations. There are substantial changes to the law that might impact policy. We will have additional policies that may be brought before the board. I know they're working through some recommendations. We do have policies in place already. We're in a pretty good spot. We want to make sure they're in good shape before some of these new laws go into effect. Some go into effect in February. Some go into effect, I guess there's one in March and there's one in July. So we're trying to work through that. They're doing a great job working through it during this time of year, as you said. There's a lot going on.
Thank you.
Other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next up, we have our new course recommendations at first reading, presented by Amy Taylor.
Good evening. This is always an exciting time of year when we bring before you course recommendations that in large part really stem from teachers who are super passionate and thinking through innovation and opportunities for our students that will continue to elevate and accelerate their learning. So 2 course proposals were shared previously with you. I have the opportunity to share a few more details with you this evening. As you may recall, so the first is the 7th grade STEAM Automation and Robotics course. As you may recall, last year you approved an addition of a 6th grade course. So our current 6th graders are the first students who started in the STEAM program when they were kindergartners. And so our vision is really that those with the addition of the 6th grade course and then next year the 7th grade course, that will continue to grow those STEAM offerings right into high school eventually. And so through the work with the STEAM team and the teachers, the recommendation for the STEAM course is to take the automation and robotics course that was approved last year for 6th grade and break that into 2 parts. It's very robust, students find it very engaging, and there's a ton of opportunity for innovation and problem solving and critical thinking. And so we want to expand that offering with that content into 7th grade. So taking the course materials, making an offering for 6th grade, which they will continue to have, and then creating with the same materials a 7th grade automation and robotics B course that students do not have to participate in 6th grade STEAM in order to be successful in the 7th grade course. What you'll notice from a funding standpoint is that last year, after the board's approval of the course, we were able to write a grant that through Project Lead the Way, which is the materials that we use as far as curriculum resources, a grant that waived the cost of certification, which is an annual certification cost, as well as a participation fee for 6th graders at Baldwin, as well as at the 5-6 Georgetown building, which was exciting to be able to offset some of that cost. We have recently submitted an additional grant that would allow for 7th grade at Riley through this course to offset some of that cost as well. You do not see that reflected because we have not yet received that grant, but we're hopeful that that will offset some of those costs a little bit moving forward.
Why don't we do the second one and we'll do the motion and we'll open for discussion.
Okay. The second course that I bring before you this evening is also an exciting opportunity, really falling in our fine arts department, and the opportunity for students who are really excelling and passionate about art. This is an AP Studio Art course. Some of the highlights that I would offer, there are some prerequisite courses that we do anticipate students would need in order to be highly successful in this course. That would be the Art 2 drawing and Art 2 painting or ceramics. And then taking Art 3 by junior year is encouraged really for their trajectory of success in the AP Studio Art course. The other piece that I would note that I think is just an exciting opportunity for our students, certainly in AP courses we know that students often have an opportunity to earn college credit, but one of the components of earning that college credit is submitting a portfolio to the College Board. And I think when we are talking about art students and really those who are highly passionate and forecasting maybe a future in art beyond their K-12 experience, it's just a really exciting opportunity for them to be in that position of really putting together some of their finest work for submission for college credit. And I think that's a unique situation here that looks a little different than a typical AP course that I wanted to highlight as well.
So we have that the following resolution is proposed, that the board approve the first reading of the following new course recommendations as presented by Ms. Amy Taylor, the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. We have STEAM for 7th grade automation and robotics B, and the AP Studio Art.
So moved.
Movement from Dawn.
Support.
Support from Ken. Are there any questions for Amy? Amy, I will say on the studio art, it's really good that they do have to do a portfolio because anyone that wants to pursue art in college usually has to present a portfolio. So what a great opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah, and again, that's just unique, and that's why I pointed that out. I think that that's a very unique opportunity for our students to position them for a lot of success.
Thanks for bringing STEAM to 7th grade, that's awesome. The AP Studio Art now, when was that AP course created? Is that like been out there for years?
That I don't know. I'm not certain how new it is at the AP level, but this proposal is new to us.
No, I understand.
It's been around for several years. It's not
new.
Not a new course.
Okay, I was again just curious. It would be interesting, again, tied to historicals, as we expand opportunities for students, both academic and support opportunities. It would be interesting to, again, in a future meeting, talk about curriculum areas and or course areas that we are still targeting to have an AP capstone course tied to. You know what I mean? Amy? And you know what, AP, it's great that we're offering more. This is awesome that the district continues to move in this direction. A sense of, well, there's AP courses here and here and here. We have that curriculum, and we're striving for a capstone course on this part of the curriculum or that. You know,
Sure.
That would be an interesting discussion point, again, at a future work session tied to the SOAR goal, expansion of opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just one other comment, Amy, as we look forward, because last year we had sixth grade, this year seventh grade, are we looking for eighth grade next
We
year?
are, and
Okay.
even starting to explore the potential as we move into the high school, when we're talking about renovation of some of the spaces for our robotics program, how that space may also be able to be used during the school day for particular academic courses that would support in this area as well.
Any other questions for Amy?
Just a comment, I think these courses definitely support the goals that I think we're talking about as well, which is always refreshing and reassuring to see. So it's awesome to see, one, interest from the teachers to kind of take hold of this and run with the students, and also give the students opportunities. So
absolutely,
thanks to you and all staff for that.
Thanks.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next up, we have our SOAR 5 goals, our second read.
So we have two recommendations this evening. I'll start with the first one. We've had some discussion, both in meetings and individual conversations regarding one of the goals. I'd like to pull that out as the first recommendation. The first recommendation tonight is for the short-term, long-term, and ongoing goals for the 5 categories from curriculum, special services, HR, finance, and co-curricular. We have had, I really want to give kudos to our administrative team who worked really hard this summer to look at the data from our community, which was derived from focus groups. The process is an 11-month process to get where we are today. I would be remiss to say that this plan, I believe we truly can say, is community driven. It is driven from data. It is not based on what individuals really want to put in a plan. It's not based on, with all due respect, simply what a superintendent wants or 7 board members want. It is community driven with feedback from our administrative team, our teaching staff, our community, our support staff, our students, our board members, and all together into one. So there are several areas I think we've kind of addressed. There was some feedback from the board. I think it was very beneficial. I do want to talk about just a couple highlights. I know there was questions about discipline, for example, when it came to what was embedded into the strategic plan. We do have 2 goals regarding that. One is really talks about the impact and the consistency and discipline and working with staff, and how does that work from a staffing standpoint to make sure we are consistent with our discipline and it is impacting student learning. And then also when it gets into how do we support our teaching staff when it comes to discipline? Quite often, when students are disciplined, they might be ready to come back to the classroom, but we also have staff who want to make sure are in a good place when the student come back and working through those processes. So we've incorporated a lot of those into the strategic plan. As we have discussed before, there are parts of this plan that we'll take off and we'll get moving with right away. We define short-term goals as things that we want to begin work on soon, and they might take 1 to 2 to 3 years. Our long-term goals, we might start soon, and then they might take 3 to 4 to 5 years to complete. Our ongoing goals are things that we want to begin working on, and that might they continue to evolve over time. So all of these things are things that are in our mind as we start to drive some of the discussions that we have as a board, as an administrative team, as a central office team, along with a lot of these conversations, quite frankly, with our HEA partners, as we work with our teaching staff who are vitally important to this process going through. Knowing full well that creating any strategic plan, the world might have different ideas of how to maneuver through them. The last plan the board approved did not have anything about COVID in there, and that's what happened. I'm not suggesting there's going to be another pandemic, but I do know that there are other things that we will deal with that we cannot turn a blind eye and say, sorry, that's not part of the plan, we're not going to address it. So this is, I believe, a very robust plan. I think it has a great vision for the future for Hudsonville. Is it perfect? I think it's really good. And so I think we've taken a lot of feedback, and we've made some changes. So the recommendation is for everything you see in front of you, the adjustments you've seen, with the exception of the fourth goal under short-term for special services, which I'd like to address next.
All right, so we have the following resolution is proposed, that the board approve the second and final reading of the SOAR 5 goals as presented by Dr. Vanderjack, our superintendent.
So
Movement by Andrew.
Support.
Support from Ken. Any questions for Dr. Vanderjack?
there's a question about artificial intelligence. Can we define that? Is that just a, I don't know who asked, is it just to put artificial intelligence? Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I took it down. We'll make that adjustment. So we'll say artificial intelligence, and then in parentheses we'll say AI. Because the kids won't know what artificial intelligence is, but they know what AI is. Is that fair?
And he knows what both are.
He knows what he's on, you know.
Other questions for Dr. Vanderjack?
Again, the process, the robustness of the process, the involvement in the process by staff, by central office, by teachers, by within this district. We started strategic planning under the last superintendent. It was good to start it then. It's continued to evolve, and we've taken it to a next level. Just well done by this team. And we have it's a good plan to guide us in the future. Not perfect, there's always room for tweaks, as you said, Dr. Vanderjack, but this is a well done plan.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm really proud to be a part of this process. And you had some great points, the work session, just themes that came out of the things. And as we've reviewed this over and over, I feel like we've done a really good job as a group to address those themes. And yeah, it's pretty incredible to watch all the hard work that our staff and communities put into this. So we should be really proud of this strategic plan. I'm excited for it.
I was pretty busy today. I'm not sure I know everything that's going on here with special services, short-term number 4.
That's the next agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Should have written that down.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Now we're gonna move on to SOAR 5 goal, second reading of special services, short-term goal number 4.
So we had some conversation, regarding the short-term goal number 5. I thought we had some great dialogue on trying to figure out, trying to take the data that we had, trying to interpret and say, we want to do the best we can. We talk about for all students, but we also talk about, we do have populations that we want to make sure we support also. So our recommendation tonight, I did email the board a slight adjustment to the goal that was recommended before it was recommended, and that would be a short-term goal for special services, which is different than the long-term goal that was just approved as long-term goal number 1. Please keep in mind there are 2 separate goals. One is really regarding the harassment and bullying that's maybe taking place and how to prevent that for every classroom, all kids. This is a short-term goal to evaluate, select, and implement preventative strategies to address discrimination of students. So that is our recommendation for that short-term goal. I did send that out to the board this afternoon after a very, I will say, a very healthy conversation with Dr. Hooper and Mr. Boltweiss this morning.
All right, so we have the following resolution is proposed that the board approve the second and final reading of the special services short-term goal number 4 as presented by Dr. Vanderjack.
I'll support that.
Support from Dawn. Movement from Dawn.
I'll support.
Support from Nick. Any additional questions for Dr. Vanderjack on that goal?
I don't have any questions, but I do recall, and it's hard to believe post-COVID that you can forget some of the things that we've discussed. But even back in 2020, the data we received from the community had expressed a need for us to take a look at this. And I'm very proud of the work that's been done. I'm proud of the committees that have been formed to look at this, and proud that, we will still continue to look at this. It's a necessary part of a growing community. It's the right thing to do, and I hope we can continue to make progress.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next up on the agenda, we have our superintendent evaluation. I'll go ahead and read the superintendent evaluation for Dr. Douglas Vanderjack for Hudsonville Public Schools for the contract year of 2023. Hudsonville Public Schools Board of Education has completed the 2023 calendar year assessment of superintendent of schools, Dr. Doug Vanderjack. The NASB superintendent evaluation tool was used for this assessment. Dr. Vanderjack received the following scores in the following areas. Governance and board relations, 3.5. Community relations, 3.66. Staff relations, 3.93. Business and finance, 4.0. Instructional leadership, 3.65. The average score of the professional practice category, which were those 5 areas I just mentioned, was 3.73. The student growth and progress toward district-wide goal categories were scored as follows. Student growth, 4.0. Progress toward district-wide goals, 4.0. When scores are factored in for all categories, the overall superintendent score corresponds to a highly effective rating and a score of 97%. To support continued success, the board will conduct evaluation updates in the following timeframe per NASB recommendations. At the January work session, we will develop SMART goals for 2024. At the April 2024 work session, we will have an informal quarterly update. June 2024 work session, we will have a formal mid-year review. August 2024, we'll have a work session, we'll have an informally quarterly update, and November 2024 evaluation. The Board of Education looks forward to working with Dr. Vanderjack and is eager to partner with him on opportunities to be even more effective in his continued leadership of the district. So the following resolution is proposed: that the board approve the superintendent evaluation that was just presented by myself, Dr. Barbara Hooper, as board president.
So moved.
Movement from Ken Paul. Support from Dawn. Are there any questions?
One of the questions that just occurred to me now, Barb, is talking about the next full review being in November. I know MASB has talked about making a new tool. Depending on what that tool is, will that calendar be adjusted if necessary?
Yes, so the MASB is developing a new superintendent evaluation tool. At this point, they are not sure if every superintendent will be required to have an annual evaluation this coming calendar year or not. So right now, we can't make any decisions on a formal evaluation until we get more information back from MASB, and it's unknown when they're gonna make a decision.
So as long as we know that there's that caveat that the adjustment may be necessary based on MASB.
Correct. Any other questions?
We talk about Doug's leadership in the district, and I know that Doug will be the first person to say it's the team. It's the central office team, the staff, and our principals, our teachers. It's the whole team, and that's true. It is all the whole team under the direction of a strong and capable leader. You know, I think about things. Some of these we talked about in the evaluation. Some, and I won't even talk about the building. I won't even go there. That speaks for itself. But the focus on continued expansion of student opportunities, both academic and social emotional, is critical to the performance of the district. Things that we're trying, some of which may not work. We're moving forward with what if elementary kids are required to take some form of music? Will that have an impact on math scores? There's data out there that says it does. Let's try it, let's see, let's work with that. And that's moving the district forward versus sitting on status quo. We may decide in 2 years it didn't work, but you're moving forward and trying something new and unique and different. The audit, when you get an audit response, I'll be honest, I don't remember if this was last year or this year, Patrick, so you can help me. But when you get an audit response and the auditor says, this is one of the, I'm paraphrasing, not to take this as, but paraphrase, this is one of the best managed districts I've seen. The SOAR process, again, well done by all team members. I think about the grants. We have upped our game in terms of pursuing grants to support many aspects, many new things, academic, a lot of new areas within the district. That's something that we weren't doing just a few years ago. I mean, we were doing it, I'm sorry. There were people focused on grants. I don't mean that, but we put more emphasis on that because we realized that there's money out there that we can tap into to help our students. Again, more emphasis than there was just a few years ago. And then obviously the SOAR process we talked about. And you roll that all up and you go, well, what are the outcomes? We now have a dashboard that we can look at and say, SAT scores, MSTEP scores, how are we social emotional learning, how are we doing? Where are we improving? Where do we still need to grow and get better? So we're driving that with information around which we can use to make decisions. All strong movement forward for the district. And that's a huge thanks to all of the team under Dr. Vanderjack's leadership.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I just want to make a comment too, I want to echo a little bit of that, of what Ken commented, almost verbatim, but you know, this is a unique review process. It's my first time. It's a lot different than the review process in the private sector. You know, nearly half of the review is based upon the district as a whole. And so in a district like this, you would be the first person to always say, yes, it's the team that drives that you're leading. And so it's a testament to the parents, the staff, and the students that we are in a phenomenal district that allows for that robust score in that category. The process, the discussion we had that night, I thought was really productive and healthy. Again, we noted a lot of strengths that you possess. Also talked about different areas for growth. Mr. Hall, Mr. Davis, I want to thank you both for giving kind of the historical perspective on how years ago we didn't really do reviews and how it's gotten to this point. So it was great to have that historical perspective and see how far we've come in this process. Dr. Hooper, I want to thank you for engaging the MASB this year to facilitate this, which has how it hasn't been done before. It was really helpful to have it facilitated in the way that the MASB recommends, which then leads to the calendar that you just outlined, which is a recommended process that we haven't always followed. So there's a confidence that, hey, you know, there is an expectation that we set these SMART goals, we evaluate them on a regular basis, and do that. So this is all very much part of a recommended process that we go through. So I'm excited to set that up and then follow it out into the future. And I'm also thankful to you, Dr. Vanderjack, for your openness to set these SMART goals. Say, okay, even though you've been around for a while, you're a lot of experience, we're going to identify areas of growth, both professionally and personally, that I think is a good example to all of our students in our district too, to say, hey, I don't care how much I know about this area, how experienced I am, there's always opportunities for growth. So I know as a board we've talked about that, for ourselves to continue to grow, for you to set these goals, it sets an example and a tone for the district. So I just want to thank everybody up here for the involvement in this process and the dialogue that we've had.
There are comments.
I'll just second and third both of those things, and I think the community is, through the SOAR process, I think the community has expressed their satisfaction with Dr. Vanderjack's performance. I think this has allowed us all an opportunity as a board to come together and also agree that we strongly support this man. He's done a really good job to drive growth in this district and to hold us to a high standard and make this district a place that people want to be at. I think that there's certainly room for improvement. And in my opinion, when we have an evaluation, whether it's as a board here or in the private sector, it's good to understand kind of what's been going well, but it's also a good time to understand what we can all come together to improve upon moving forward. And so one of the things that I appreciated about our discussion that we had was that we talked very candidly with each other about things that we want to do better, both as a board and you know, for Dr. Vanderjack as well. And I think that was a really healthy discussion. And so I think I'm looking forward to the future. I think the goals that we just approved as a district are really important, but I also look forward to how we come together to support Dr. Vanderjack as he continues to grow as a professional as well. So thank you everybody on this board for that discussion. Thank you, Dr. Vanderjack, for your leadership and for all that you do for this community.
Yeah, I want to highlight some of the things that some of the other folks just talked about. I think that we have a superintendent who has many, many excellent qualities. And I think that the tool that we used to evaluate him was good as far as it went. But one of the things that I'm looking forward to is some of the things that Dr. Hooper outlined as far as we move forward throughout this year, and giving some additional goals to the superintendent as he continues to lead this district. And I'm really looking forward to that opportunity to be able to do that, because I think that the goals that we're going to be presenting are going to have to do a lot with leadership qualities that I think our superintendent does exhibit and has. I think a lot of the things on the evaluation tool, I felt hindered that they were not looking at the leadership qualities as much as that I would have liked them to. So I'd like to look at that going forward. And one of the things that I told Dr. Hooper was that as a board, I think that we did not, at least I as a board member did not do my job last year in noting the different goals and opportunities to review those throughout the year. And when I took the course in October, I saw those different timelines and things that we had there. So I'm looking forward to going through all of those also. So that's my input.
Any other comments? All right, this is a really good process. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Or you're opposed?
I vote.
I'm sorry. Okay, record note, Mark Davis is opposed. All right, motion passes. Next up, discussion item, our stadium scoreboard. Dr. Vanderjack.
So we have an opportunity, we've been looking, and we have talked about this. This is not part of the bond issue. There's been some requests about a video board at our Eagle Stadium, of which we do not have, and nor do we anticipate setting aside dollars for this scoreboard. The conversation tonight is not a recommendation, but to continue dialogue with potential, maybe whether it be vendors or businesses that want to contribute to a video board at Eagle Stadium. If you look at the back side, the one sheet that has the score and then it says Eagle Stadium, the other side actually has the back of the current scoreboard, and that's, you know, we would see a rendering of what it would look like prior to putting up. Our idea is that we would do, if we have 1, 2, 4, 7, whatever it looks like in one location versus all over on the fence in different areas, to have basically recognize who the vendors are on the back of the current large scoreboard. The large one that says Eagle Stadium would be on the far north end of the stadium. On the other side of the goalpost, there's a small scoreboard off to the right, that would be taken down. We'd have this one at the end. We do have a dollar amount for that video board. The discussion tonight was, can we continue to pursue potential donors to get that put up at our stadium? We are not, and I say we, I believe as a community, and maybe as a board, definitely as an administrator, at least as, I'll say myself, I'm not a big fan of putting vendor signs all over, so we have 30 different signs that have 14 different dentist office I'm sorry, I've had an issue with my tooth, so. But to have that, in different locations, this would be pretty much the only location we'd have something to be on the back of the current scoreboard. And then we'd have, the video board, which would not have any advertisement on it when it's off, but there very well could be advertisement on it during halftime, during the intermission, before the game, and go from there. So really the discussion tonight is can we continue to pursue this option? We do not have, a sole vendor that would say, hey, we'll fit the bill, but we also don't wanna do all the legwork if the board says, you know what, we don't go that route. So really that's the discussion, and I would normally wait till the work session, but we don't have another one until January, and there's some dialogue that's taking place, right now, and I'm eagerness to have that discussion here. Not here, so that's why it's here.
So, with respect to what's on this as the AIM partners, is that something that would rotate every year? Is that something that's easily changeable? Would it be like a video?
No, it would be we call it a wrapped board, so it'd be like a vinyl covering that would say welcome to Eagle Stadium, and then it would be a set. So the idea, now this might evolve into what you're asking, but the idea would be we might have 3, maybe 4 vendors, maybe they donate a fourth of the cost for the video board, and it might be a 10-year commitment that will be up there with their name on it, and go from there. If we feel like we can't get enough dollar amount to put this in, and we have to do it every year, we're trying to get away from the, if you donate $200, you get a sign up here, and that's not gonna pay for the video board. We'd like to get it paid for and put in for track season, and or, football season as well.
My only concern is, being tied to vendors for a long period of time. So I'd like maybe just a little bit more information on how that's looking.
And just to be clear, you're not gonna show up someday and see it without the board seeing what it would look like, what the vendors are. I can tell you the vendors that are in conversation are not ones that are gonna go away anytime soon. That's a fair point, and we also wanna be cognizant of what, they stand for also, if that makes sense. We're not gonna have Budweiser,
And that's always the touchy part of that. And
Yes.
as long as it could be changed if we have to, maybe that would be the fun.
it can
part of
always
the
be,
contract.
it can, correct. Or if they change, what if the business changed their name, and things, those are I think the conversation tonight is
Direction.
yeah, keep going with this and see where it lands, and we're not gonna put it up without board, what they see, we're not gonna take anybody's money without having an agreement with the board that that's what we do, so it'll probably send into another conversation, hopefully. The last time I brought this to the board, I believe it was June or July, we did some legwork, here's where we are, we'd like to continue. Our focus, quite frankly, has not been on this, it's been on the field house, but I don't.
This isn't a 6-month project, it's
I put printed it today, so, or yesterday, but, so the idea is to have that discussion so we can continue, or not continue, you can be done with that, I just wanted to bring it up.
Well, I appreciate that, you got us meeting Rockford. So that's the first thing.
I did notice the score and the logo, yeah.
I don't know what quarter, do we have a quarter on here?
I'm
gonna assume it's.
assuming it's the high scoring game, 6 minutes left, it is our ball and it is first down.
Seriously, again, for some historical perspective, our reluctance, strong reluctance by the board in the past, things change in the past, so I'm just giving that perspective, was, again, we didn't, as you said, Dr. Vanderjack, we didn't want advertisement, along fences, and just ubiquitous within our buildings and within our athletic facilities, or the marching band, mixing marching, we were very concerned about that ubiquitousness of advertisement in society in general. It's like, man, schools should be a place where you don't have to be bothered with that. Now, having said that, we do announce, so-and-so's providing pizza, for the coaches and that. I mean, we talk about those vendors that are supporting us, and we appreciate that. This is certainly lower key than what we have, we're concerned about in the past. And so, this is a different situation than we've run into in the past. And so it's good, it's lower key, it's lower So my input, again, mine alone, is that it's worth continuing to look at, because I think that's what you're looking for, some directional, I mean, other board members, please speak up, you may have different opinions, but, this isn't that advertising everywhere, every place in the district. We're trying to be smart and, about where and how it makes sense for us.
Dr. Vanderjack, if we were to pursue this and we couldn't find from the various vendors, let's say there were 4, and we couldn't secure enough funding to purchase it, would we continue to look for additional vendors, or is there a limit to the number of vendors? And what would happen if we can't secure enough funding, because it is?
It's a great question. I think our vision was to probably have 3 or 4. I don't want to have 50 vendors on the back of the board. That just diminishes the importance of what we're doing. I think if we could get 3 or 4 and try to accomplish our goal, if we get close, if it's a conversation with the board, how close is close? And there's, let's just say if we're $400,000 short, that's too far. If we're $20,000 short, that might be a different conversation. But we want it to look nice. We want it to be classy. We want it to be, at the end of the day, when we turn off the scoreboard and our kids use facilities, no different than the field house. We want kids to walk in there for PE class and not be inundated with advertising. That might be different during a sporting event when we put things on the video board. But at the end of the day, we want our kids to be able to experience school and not be influenced by outside sources. If that answers your question.
Maybe you mentioned this, what's the basic cost of this?
Right now, it's roughly costing about $550,000 for the installation and video.
And the partner logos in the back, those would be permanent, they wouldn't be digital.
They would be permanent. They would be
not digital.
temporarily permanent.
Right.
Like a 10-year wrap.
Sure.
So if you think about
I got
you wrap your boat,
Yeah.
it's like the same idea.
That's what it looked like, but, no, I agree with Ken, I think it's certainly worth continuing to explore.
I agree.
Do you feel like you have enough direction?
I do. Unless there's a standing stop, then we'll get back to the normal. Thank you.
All right, next up we have our report items, and we're gonna start with student council. And Jane could not be here tonight, but I would like to, welcome Nick Gunnick, and he's the vice president of the student council, and he will give the report in Jane's absence, so welcome, Nick.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, good things are happening in the student council. This past meeting, let's see, it was 2 Tuesdays ago, we introduced our freshmen onto our board. So they got to be part of it. We introduced 10 new freshmen. Yeah, 2 of them are my own village. Yeah, that's actually more than that. But, no, we just, the big thing right now that we're working on is, next week, Friday, we have our assembly and big games, community games that we're working towards. So we got, we're working on trying to organize some games and activities like during breaks and between quarters and stuff. So that's a lot of things going into that. We have next week, we have some spirit days that we participate in. That's exciting, always makes the week a little bit more fun. And then in January, we have the blood drive coming, on the 16th. And then there's, in the workings, we're trying to figure out still a winter dance possibility. We did one last year. Massive success, people really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So possibly this year we might proceed with that.
You got a thumbs up from
I
Mr.
saw a thumbs up on there.
Sounds like you're in book date.
It's gonna happen. Good stuff. No, I think that's all you got.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions for Nick?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, so we'd like to give a few updates for our buildings since we're here. Maybe we can start with Park Elementary, and Mrs. Stephanie can give us a quick update on the amazing construction work that's taking place with 0 interruption in instruction.
I wasn't gonna talk about construction at all, actually. It's happening still. It's loud and it's messy. There's a lot happening in our district, and hopefully you've had an opportunity to participate in some or watch some of the great things, but today I want to tell you about one thing you might not know about.
students at Park Elementary participated in a service project where they sponsored a community family, and they brought in donations from their families and from projects they were doing at home to raise money in order to support them over the holiday. And then today, all of our students met in the cafeteria, our 4th grade students, along with a lot of parent volunteers, and they wrapped up all of the gifts for the families. And our 4th graders were able to raise we have 3 sections of 4th grade at Park. They raised $1,700, and they were able to purchase 120 items that the family needed at this time of the season. And then they also were able to purchase some of the wants for the family. So they'll have a really exciting holiday season where they can open some presents, and our 4th graders got to take some ownership in providing a little bit of holiday joy to our Hudsonville community. So that's just something that happened at Park, but there's a lot of examples of that happening throughout the entire district. So just glad I got to tell you about that one today.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Jamestown Upper Elementary, Mr. Verlois.
Good evening. I was going to talk about charity as well. This is such a great time for our kids as we think about giving back to the community. And so we did a number of them, but one of them was a food drive. 6,100 items went out, and it's so great to see the kids bring those items in and be part of the packaging and the delivery process. But it's really the conversations that go on in the classrooms around the needs and just the awareness that kids are brought to the fact that we have community members and kids in our buildings that have significant needs, and just that awareness that they can actually have an impact on that. Great conversations. Another thing that's been happening in our building that Ann's gonna love, that I wanted to highlight, was student teachers. And we just wrapped up having 4 student teachers in my building, and really just trying to build those relationships with the colleges and universities so that they want to place people in our buildings. But so thankful to have 4 teachers who are willing to take that on, because it is a lot of work for our teachers. But the benefits that we were able to reap are just awesome. Not only having trained, educated adults, extra hands there, but one of them I was able to bring on and hire as our building sub, because she just graduated and took the weekend off and then started back in our building again. So that was real fun. And I would definitely not be surprised if you are introduced to her next year as one of our new staff members. She's definitely the kind of person we want to keep around this district. Today we had a great opportunity to have some of our Riley Middle School musicians come over to the building, and huge group. We had over 50 kids come, band, orchestra, and choir, and they came just to do some caroling. It was just supposed to be this really quick 15-minute, 4-song deal. We had to do 2 concerts because of space, but the joy to see the middle school kids come back and be able to perform for some of their former teachers was just awesome. And just the vision casting that we're able to do for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students to show them next year or the next year, this is what it could look like for you as you move into some of those roles. So, some of the stuff going on at us, and I think now we're going to Bill.
Mr. Ross. Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Good evening, President Hooper, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to serve our students and families at Riley Street Middle School. The best thing about being a principal are the stories about our students. And I want to tell you 3 tonight. I want to tell you about an 8th grader by the name of Tim. Tim came to us 7 weeks ago from China, couldn't speak English, and our 8th graders have just taken Tim in. We are using Google Translate very heavily to communicate with Tim. Tim enjoys our lunch every day, and he has a really unique group of kids that come alongside him. A highlight for Tim in his 7 weeks at Riley Street was last Thursday night. He had a drum solo in our band concert, so that was exciting. I want to tell you a story about an 8th grader by the name of Eden. Eden's the kid I get to see every morning as she gets out of our parent loop, and she's a kid you smile at. Because in 6th grade, Eden was fighting cancer and was not able to come to school. And unique thing about her 6th grade year, and this is a testament to our outstanding orchestra teachers, they were able to bring Eden in the spring, and she was able to play outside the window with her classmates because her immunity level was still low. But this is a kid that has just thrived academically and been able to participate as a member of our 8th grade class this year. So she's just a kid you see every day, and you're just happy that she's there and she's living life the right way now, and she's been successful. The final student I want to tell you about is a 7th grader by the name of Connor, and Connor has benefited from our athletic programs. You've supported our B teams at the middle school level, and Connor has been able to be a part of a couple of our teams. And I would say Connor is a novice player, a novice athlete, but Connor's been able to make friendships. He's been able to be a part of a team, and just is doing well academically and relationally now. So thank you for your support of all of our kids at Riley Street.
Thanks, Mr. Ross. Next up, Mr. Beal.
Good evening again, everyone. Thank you for being over there and supporting the opening, the ribbon cutting. It's hard to not get up here and still have that at the forefront. It's a big day today, so it's been a lot of fun. As I kind of listened to my colleagues speak, it made me think of a couple things, and I wanted to highlight something fun that we get to do at the high school level. And now that I've been here for 6 years, get to kind of see where our graduates go. And it made me think of just how proud I am to get to be a part of this of this district and serve at the high school. Dr. Vanderjack and I met with one of our graduates from 4 years ago now yesterday, named Delaney Brander, if you remember her. And she, like a lot of, it seems like a lot of students that really loved high school, myself included, she wants to go be a high school teacher when she's done with school and she's wrapping up. So she wanted some advice. We actually took the opportunity to meet with her last year as well. At her request, she wanted some direction about getting a master's in educational leadership. And if you remember her, she was very involved in student council and the cheer team and had leadership qualities galore even back as a student. So we were just really proud to see her come back, and we took her, of course, around the facility, and she got a sneak peek yesterday afternoon of the facility. But you know, as my colleagues were sharing, it made me think about the experience that she got to have her whole way up before she went to Ohio for college. And it's the work that all of our staff, our administrators, our parapros, food service, transportation, everyone in the finance and human resources, curriculum departments, and special services, everybody really is what makes this place great. And maybe I'm feeling nostalgic about and proud about this district and being a graduate here. And you know, I see two people in front of me, my boss's bosses here that also graduated here close to the same time as me. And it's hard not to feel a lot of eagle pride tonight. I didn't prepare anything, I didn't know what I was gonna say, but that's how I feel tonight. It feels pretty great to be a Hudsonville Eagle. But then when I get to be in this capacity and see students that were inspired by our staff here, and then in some way, shape, or form just wanted to come back and hear from us about what we think and be encouraged and to go into this profession. Dr. Vanderjack told her yesterday, and it's still resonating with me right now, that it's the best profession in the world. And I agree with that. We get to have such an impact and to get to do that here and really set the tone for many years to come with this new facility. You know, it made me think, as great as the building is, and as cool and shiny as the lights are and the new equipment, it's the people that get to fill that building up that make this place special. It's the coaches that are gonna coach. It's the athletes that are gonna work hard. It's the memories that are gonna get made there, the friendships that are gonna get made there. And hopefully the buzzer beaters with us winning against Rockford, like your sheet said there, that are gonna, you know, be what lasts, the memories that get made. So thank you all for your support of all of us. Thank you to all my colleagues here and all of our staff. It's really a pleasure to be here and serve. So happy holidays, happy December. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beal. Next up, I have a quick update, just a couple of things. I want to thank all the administration staff for their participation, all the OCSN coordinators, as well as Melissa Bernard, our first responders, we call them local heroes. Yesterday was Shop of the Hero, yesterday at Meyer. At 6 o'clock, it was lit up like a Christmas tree outside, which it was really the safest place to be in Hudsonville, was Meyer last night. But it was great to see our kids and their faces light up, their eyes light up, and I appreciate one more night that our administrators spent time with kids they will never, ever forget that. Thank you. Tomorrow is a half day, Nick, don't forget, you don't have to stay all day. So just, you didn't highlight that, I'd hate for you to stay all day, because you guys are in a half day tomorrow. There is no state snow plan for the rest of December, so start running that in snow days, so you can bring that message back tomorrow also. Thank you for all that participated in the ribbon cutting tonight at the field house. It is a great night with a lot of work that went in. I do specifically want to thank Pat Briggs for the amount of just not only the work, the conversations, the patience with me. There's a lot going on in that facility, and I could spend hours talking to you about some of the unique features in that building that you will get to explore the course of time, and our kids will benefit. It's a very unique, detailed facility. You know, the advantage of, I would say, Pat, Jordan, and I being around the entire time working through it. We lost Kevin Woolman midway through. Ben Farkas picked up the pieces and ran with it. Casey Glass has been around. There's just been a lot going on, so thank you for those involved. Next week, Friday night, our girls, we start with our unified basketball. We have 4:45, which means our maize and blue will play each other, which guarantees us a win at our very first event over at the field house. And then our girls play Unity at 6 p.m. Our boys will play roughly at 7:30. We have a couple special presentations. There'll be a video presentation. There's kind of a pop-up video. I'm going to say a couple quick words as the kids get ready to go and compete. And I do want to thank our colleagues with Unity. As you know, I think we have strong school districts all across West Michigan. More often than not, you see public schools and private schools, maybe parochial, don't always agree on everything. Jerry and I have a great relationship, and I just want to appreciate them understanding the importance of this coming together as a community to get in that facility together when it opens up next Friday night. I hope you can attend. Certainly going to be a great night. Regarding my evaluation, I appreciate the board's time and commitment to that. I do want to appreciate Robin and her help in collecting all the data and getting that on the right spots so the board can access it. But it's not really about me. It's about the people in this room. It's about the parents that have been very supportive and taking care of the things that need to be taken care of, not only with their kids, but what takes place in our community. It's about our support staff that go the extra mile for kids all the time, that meet them on the bus and they take care of when they have bloody knees, when they come into the office constantly with bumps and bruises, and these people wrap their arms around these kids every day. It's about our teachers that are unbelievable in the classroom. If you could get a chance to watch, they're impressive. Our teachers are amazing what they do every day. And yes, there are always challenges and somebody doesn't agree with this or that. Not one of them wouldn't give anything to take care of their kids in the classroom. They do it. These people on your left are administrative team. They're the ones that are there countless hours in the morning after school, doing extra bus duty because we have 2 runs, chasing after kids, maybe that might get away, and you chase after them, sometimes in heels. I just think it's, these people I'd go to bat with any day. They are the best administrative team I have ever worked with after 33 years in education. And I just appreciate each and every one of them. And then I also feel, as well as I love our administrative team, our central office team is by far the best in the state of Michigan. And I would go up against any other team in the state for the work that they do, the passion that they have, and the sleepless nights that they get sometimes trying to navigate sometimes some uncharted territory and or muddy water. So I just want to thank them not only for their support, but all they do. They have amazing skill sets, but more often than that, I think, to me, they're just great friends. And I want to thank you for them. And last but not least, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and try to get some time with family and friends. And we'll try this again back in 2024. That's all I have.
All right, we will do a board roundtable, and I'll start on my right. All right.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, blessings for this during this holiday season, and appreciate so much everything. Dr. Vanderjack said it all. Appreciate so much everything that you do. Looking forward to a very positive 2024.
Mackenzie, I have a question for you. Is that a local family that you're dealing with?
Yeah.
Okay, and right within the school itself?
Right
Good.
within the parking lot.
Okay, thank you very much.
Wow, the facility, amazing. Again, it's been a process for so long. And I know a lot of work went in the last few days to get it ready for people to view. A lot of boots on the ground, probably a lot of not always so excited, extra editorial, et cetera work. But it was amazing. And it was the first time I stepped in those doors. And I'm glad I waited because it was just, again, another reason to be proud of you. So thank you to everyone and for the patience that everyone exhibited, and the final details I'm sure will come together as well. I too am looking forward to 2024, believing that as a board, we'll continue to work together on our code of conduct, making sure that we support one another, and I wish everybody a joyful, peaceful Christmas. Happy holidays. Please spend time with your families, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, as an Eagle, this is a cool night, and again, we get a lot of feedback from the community. We know that is not an inexpensive facility that was just built, but it's the generosity of the community, and I think it was highlighted in one of the speeches, but it's not just for sports. Just look at all of the educational opportunities that facility will be used for. Barb, you even mentioned that there's a color guard, so it's going to impact everybody, health sciences, you know, all of that. It's fantastic, really a cool night for all of us, and I was hopeful tonight was going to be a good night here as a board. Hopefully that shone through the work that we've collectively done as a group to continue to grow together. Hopefully we can continue to lead effectively and give confidence to our community that we're here for the right reasons, and I'm just really thankful for everybody up here on this stage, and I know the conversations we have and the work that we put in, and we just really appreciate all of you here. I'm excited to continue to go forward with all of you, and have this great Christmas and holiday season.
This Christmas time is my favorite time of year, and it's the time where we go to Christmas programs, and this year we started the Bauer program to all the families. You know, this is a time to slow down, to reflect, to be thankful for what we have, and I thought that was very well spoken, and I think it's something that we should all do and make sure we keep in mind. You know, life isn't perfect, we're not perfect, but we have so much to be proud of and so much to be thankful for, and I certainly am. So thank you, Doug, for everything you do for us, and thank you to your team and all the principals and teachers and administrative staff. You guys make this place what it is, and I'm proud to be able. So Merry Christmas and thank you.
Nick, good to have you here as our student representative tonight. And thanks for the building reports. Those are always a pleasure to hear. And I wanted to kind of take off on something Jordan said about it's being the best profession in the world. My wife was a teacher here for 25 years. And I had a number of careers while she was doing. I was a minister in business and sales. And I would tell her consistently, she has more influence on children and on people than I do in any career that I've had. It is a highly important and effective career, and I'm delighted with all the good teachers and staff we have here. It was exciting to see the opening tonight. Old board members were there, old administrators were there, a lot of important people from the community were there. Delightful time. So I wish you all a very Merry Christmas up here and up there. Thank you.
And I just want to say to the field house, wow, absolutely beautiful, and there will be lots of exciting things that occur in that building in the future. And Jordan, I just want to tack on to what you said tonight. The impact that teachers and staff can have on students seriously cannot be emphasized enough. It can make such a difference. My son flew home today at noon, and he had reached out to Dawn's husband, because Dwight had done a lot for my son when he was in high school, and he said, hey, you're probably going to be at the ribbon cutting, and Dwight said yes, and my son came specifically so that he could see him. So So I know the relationship that a teacher and the staff can have on a student is absolutely incredible, and it can change their trajectory for the rest of their lives. So thank you. I'd also like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and to spend time with your family and friends, because you'll never know what happens. So I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. All right, I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mark. Support. Support from Dawn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.